Hey everyone, Harold Fisher here again, anchor and host of the Daily Drum on WHUR. Welcome to another edition of HUR at Home on WHUR.com and of course all of our social media platforms. Now tonight on HUR at Home, we have three great mini discussions to kick off Black History Month. The first is about the Black family. The second, how the Prince George's County Library System will commemorate Black History Month. And the third one, a bit of a wake-up call in the form of billboard art. Well, let's start with Sylvia Cyrus. She is the executive director of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Hey, Sylvia, how are you?
Doing just great. How are you this evening?
I am doing just fine. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to talk to us. I am, of course, familiar with the association, but briefly talk to me about what the association is and what your focus is for Black History Month concerning the Black family.
Absolutely. Well, it is Black History Month, as you know, and our organization, the founders of Black History Month, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, was founded by the renowned scholar Dr. Carter G. Woodson in 1915. And Dr. Woodson was an amazing person in that he was born in 1875 after the end of the Civil War, and worked so hard to make sure that he got an education. And during that period, he found that so many mistruths were being told about the contributions of African Americans. So he set out his life work to research, study, and disseminate information about our contributions. He founded this wonderful membership organization, which is based in Washington, D.C., to pull together like-minded individuals to study Black history and promote Black history. And so that's what we have been doing for over 106 years. Part of what Dr. Woodson did also was to bring attention to different themes. And ever since 1926, when Dr. Woodson began the commemoration of Negro History Week, this association has selected a theme for the world to reflect on. And this year's theme is very appropriate: the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. And so we'll be talking about families, the different forms that families take, and how important family is. And you know, Harold, especially through COVID and the challenges that we've had through the holidays in the past year, that we've had more time to reflect on our families. And that is what ASALA, which is how we pronounce our acronym, will be reflecting on this year, and kicked it off yesterday on February 1st with a wonderful, wonderful program. And we will be having programs all month, virtual, many of them free and open to the public, that individuals can go to our website at www.asalh.org for information on how to join, important content, so that if you're planning programs for Black History Month, that you could do it. And we're encouraging people to get together with your families this month and talk about the Black family.
I only have a few minutes for each segment, but from your perspective, I mean, the Black family is not here. It's here. And so what do you want people to take away from ASALA's study and treatise on the Black family this month?
We really want individuals to really investigate their own families, but also to be broad-minded and understand the changes that the Black family has gone through, and how, you know, one of the things that Woodson was really adamant about was that enslavement and slavery did not steal the importance of Black family life to Black people. And so through so many activities, genealogy, family research, you could do research in terms of your own family, that we're asking you to reflect on your family. Join ASALA at www.asalh.org all month long. We have wonderful programs with really impressive people that will help you reflect on this theme, the Black family. And we would love for your listeners and your watchers to join us in this wonderful membership organization.
Sylvia Cyrus, Executive Director of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. We're going to be focusing on the Black family this month. Thank you so much, Sylvia. I really appreciate you sharing a little bit of time with us.
Thank you so much for doing this show. It's really fantastic.
Now, next in our discussion, we have Roberta Phillips. Now, Roberta is the CEO of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. And as with so many systems around the country, Black History Month is a really, really big month, pulling all kinds of resources and the like to educate the public. Hey, Roberta, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Good to see you.
So talk to me a little bit about what the Prince George's County Memorial Library System has for the plan for the month of February for Black History Month. Obviously, just as we discussed with Sylvia, we're still in the midst of the pandemic. And so I know it's got to be a challenge to get the information out.
Yeah, it can be, but we have done quite well on multiple virtual platforms. And, you know, we want to celebrate Black history and culture year round. We have a Heritage Hub page, but we do want to invite you to a spectrum of special virtual events for Black history. These programs recognize the importance of Black history as central to American history. So you can learn about Black voter engagement from Pulitzer winner and county resident Leonard Pitts Jr. You can discover Harriet Tubman through an artistic portrayal. You can learn about leaders and strategies of the civil rights movement with authors Anna Malika Tubbs, The Three Women, and author Jamar Tisby, who's going to be talking about how to fight racism. In addition, we will be looking at our diversity dialogue and Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me, and also celebrating Black women in business on February 25th. So there is a plethora of programs for every age and every interest, really focusing on how Black Americans are so vital in American history. And so you can go to pgcmls.info for a list of the events and also resources, a ton of both historical, fiction, nonfiction books by Black authors, and we hope that you will join us on our virtual programming.
So talk to me a little bit. Let me have that web address.
Sure.
Slowly, please, because I want everyone to be able to use the resources.
It's www.pgcmls.info.
Okay. So here's my other question too, because you mentioned virtual resources. Do you have any idea of when, and you may not, of when the libraries will be open for, hands-on access to the resources? Everybody, I love libraries. Everyone wants to get back in, Right.
Yeah. So, we are doing curbside appointments. So people have access to our physical collections through our virtual. We also have mobile printing and Wi-Fi access in our parking lots, as well as a call center in English and Spanish. But, Prince George's County had particularly high numbers. Yeah. And so we are waiting until it is safe to come in. In the meantime, there is such a lot of things happening in the community and in the library virtually. So we're going to open when it's safe. We hope our next step will be computer access, because we know folks out there need access to computers for job resources, among other things. But there are a lot of resources on our page for all of those things that we just discussed.
Well, I salute you and the work that you're doing to make sure that the public has access, not just for Black History Month, of course, but year-round, particularly in the midst of this really difficult time. Information, education is always important, no matter what our communities are going through. So, I certainly salute you, Roberta Phillips, CEO of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Harold. Appreciate it.
And finally tonight, we have artist Donald Perlis. he has created a painting that depicts the death of George Floyd. It's now on a billboard on South Capitol Street in Southwest DC, but it is also on billboards in several cities around the country. Donald, thank you so much for joining this conversation. Your work is extremely important. Talk to me about why you decided to do this.
Well, I have a history. I mean, I'm not a young man. I'm going to be 80, and I have a history of doing paintings of social strife, racial strife, even. And I did a series in the 80s, actually, based on that kind of subject in New York. If you can remember the Bernard Goetz tragedy,
Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
Eleanor Bumpurs, the grandmother who was murdered by the housing police because she was short 67 books, for her rent. And then there was the Michael Griffith, the kid who got run into a highway. I made a series of paintings based on these awful tragedies until I was wearing myself out, and I had to do something else. But so when George Floyd got murdered, it struck me very hard, like it did everybody else, and caused international protests, of course. And it was such an incredibly tragic event that I was disappointed by the photographic depictions. For instance, in the video that the New York Times had, I thought he deserved more, and I wanted to memorialize his death in a way that would be profound and people wouldn't forget him, and he wouldn't die, be forgotten, because so many people have gotten murdered, and it seems one after the other. And so, and his murder was so horrendous and so over the top that I thought it deserved close attention in terms of art. And I wanted to make a painting of it immediately as soon as it happened. So I made some drawings, and then I started a large painting, and it actually went quite quickly.
The billboard also has the famous quote by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." What you said, you don't want people to forget what happened to George Floyd, but even the broader issue. What do you hope that they take away beyond not just forgetting? Do you want to instill in them something that may not be readily obvious?
Well, yes, it's actually a moral message, and really the basis of it is quite biblical. I mean, do unto others as you wish them to do unto you, or don't do unto others as you don't wish them to. What you've got here is a human being who was treated very, very badly by other human beings. And I when I made the painting, I minimized the obvious political angle, which is for instance, emphasizing the policemen, emphasizing guns, emphasizing badges, and emphasizing. And I wanted to make a painting of men doing a horrible thing to another man on a human level, and I want people to take that humanitarian message of the morality of acting like that, in the same way that a lot of paintings of martyrs and even the crucifixion depict, where they're moral messages, even though they're not happy paintings, but they remind people of the right thing to do, and by depicting the wrong thing that was done. And in this case, it's in that tradition, actually. In fact,
this billboard is also in New York City, Minneapolis, Atlanta, and is it Louisiana or LA?
LA, yeah, it's in LA as well. So this is the 5th location actually, Ben. And I think we've gotten more response from Washington, D.C. than we have from the other. We've got a tremendous amount of response from the other cities, but more from D.C. than any place else. And I think because D.C. has been such a lightning point of intense. What's going on in our society is so reflected there, Even when George Floyd got killed, there was a huge protest there
Yeah.
that would have been bigger even than other places, and squares got renamed, streets got named over this. There's murals everywhere. The city has been transformed.
But I hope that this art continues to transform not only this city and other cities, but also the hearts and minds of people. And as you said, you don't want people to forget. And so certainly I salute you as well for being brave enough to try to send a message through art, where art has not only imitated life, but in this particular case, death. So I want to thank you, Donald Perlis, for sharing, your artistic courage with us. And I also want to thank Roberta Phillips and Sylvia Cyrus for participating in this really important conversation as we kick off Black History Month. Again, I salute all of you for participating with us. And I want to thank you, our viewers, for listening to us in this edition of HUR at Home. I'm Harold Fisher, and as always, I will see you on the radio.